Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. And today, we're being joined by Eric Brotman, author of the upcoming third book, Don't Retire, Graduate, that's coming out this fall. Eric, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Paul. Great to be here.
Well, we are thrilled to have you. Are you ready to begin?
I am ready.
All right. Question number one. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
Paul, it's difficult to come up with only one piece of advice. I would say in terms of publishing, be extraordinarily careful how and with whom you publish your work. Make sure that you own your copyright and that your work remains yours. That's a really scary thing, to lose access to your own work. And the only other thing I'd say about the writing process is schedule times with yourself to write like you were scheduling an appointment with a client or a doctor or someone else, because otherwise it is really, really tough to get your nose to the grindstone when you're busy with 10 other things.
And what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
Well, if you're trying to do standard publishing, getting an agent is not difficult, but having your book looked at and picked up and published, I think, is extremely difficult. It's a very crowded space. I think it's not particularly difficult if you choose to do it yourself. It can just be expensive.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launches that has worked well.
Paul, on my first two books, we learned a lot of lessons about marketing. And one of the lessons that we learned was that it's important to have that strategy be more than just a publicist. So this go-round, the new book is going live on September 15th, and we're doing a full press on the marketing strategy by also having a workbook and creating an online course and an online community. We've already created a Facebook page just for the book, and so we're generating some buzz long before the book is ready to even hit print.
Got it. So tell us some more about the different things that you're doing. You mentioned a few items in regards to workbooks and some different online options. So what is your game plan laying this all out?
The book, which is called Don't Retire, Graduate, is written to be like a college curriculum. And it's a path to financial independence, so that each chapter is essentially a course, and they each end with quizzes. So in addition to a book, which is hardback and softback, we've chosen this time to do audio as well. So I'm recording an audiobook in studio. In addition to that, we'll be doing a workbook and an online course, which will launch and which will allow folks to go through and have exercises and questions. And each chapter has its own extra credit assignment, because nobody likes homework. And the extra credit assignment, those 21 assignments throughout the book, will essentially create a financial plan for someone with or without hiring a financial advisor. So it allows folks at any income level and any stage of their working lives to really create their own plan and determine where they need some help.
So essentially, you've created a curriculum with your book, and then you're offering these different options to go with it.
That's exactly right. And some of the options will include the ability to engage our firm and to work with us. We have a financial planning and wealth management firm that's tied to that. We're also creating a Facebook group and an online social media group, which will be an alumni association for folks who go through the course. I mean, heck, yesterday we designed sweatshirts for Retire University. So this is going to be sort of a really interesting, multifaceted launch, and hopefully it'll wind up being a movement. I mean, we've seen the FIRE movement catch fire. So here we go with something different, which is trying to reframe retirement as a graduation instead of a retreat.
Excellent. And speaking of books, I'd like to know what is your favorite book and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
You know, if I had to choose only one book, it would be Atlas Shrugged, which is not the lightest read in the world. But Ayn Rand, to me, changed the way I felt about politics and philosophy and government and so many different things. And pretty much what I learned from it was, regardless of how I register, I'm a closet libertarian.
Nice. And then in regards to your favorite quote, what is your favorite quote and why?
My favorite quote comes from J.D. Salinger's Catcher in the Rye. And the quote is, "The mark of an immature man is to die nobly for a cause. The mark of a mature man is to live humbly for one. And I just think that sums up everything about philanthropy and charitable giving, and sort of starting with our why. And so it was a quote in a piece of fiction, but it just has stuck with me, and I carry it with me all the time.
Excellent. Well, Eric, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
My website for the book and the podcast are at brotmanmedia.com, and the financial planning firm is at bfgfa.com. And you'll find us all over social media as well.
Eric, thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Thank you, Paul. I enjoyed it.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how to get your book published with a proven system that works, grab a free copy of my book at getpublishedpodcast.com.